slaves free, who establish regular prayer, who gives regular zakah, and who honor their contracts, when one is made, and who are patient in trials and tribulations and in times of stretch. Allah says, these are the believers in, Allah says, أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ صَدَقُوا. These are the believers in truth, or these are the true believers. أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ صَدَقُوا. These are the true ones. أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُتَّقُونَ وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُتَّقُونَ. And these are the ones who are the real pious ones. Allah Ta'ala commands believers to not to commit shirk. Allah says, وَلَا تَدْعُوا مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ. Do not call any other than Allah. مَا لَا يَنْفَعُكَ وَلَا يَضُرُّكَ. They neither profit you nor hurt you. فَإِنْ فَعَلْتَ. If you did, فَإِنَّكَ إِذًا مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. You will be of the zalims. You will be included amongst the zalims. Yet many of us, invoke, we seek help from other than Allah. Despite Allah's clear commandment, we have our own explanations. Many of us, we commit shirk and give our own explanations. No, this is not shirk. We are just calling him, because he will take us close to Allah. Believers, Allah says, are those who do not take the unbelievers as friends and protectors. Allah says in one of the Quranic verses, roughly translated, O you who believe, take not the unbelievers, take not for friends and protectors unbelievers, rather than the believers. Whoever does this, that is, Allah says, do you wish to provide an open proof against yourself to Allah? Allah says, O you who believe, take not for friends and protectors the unbelievers rather than the believers. Do you wish to offer Allah Ta'ala an open proof, a manifest proof against yourself? Sometimes some speeches dazzle us, speeches of the unbelievers dazzle us. There is a Quranic verse that says, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُعْجِبُكَ قَوْلُهُ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَيُشْهِدُ اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا فِي قَلْبِهِ وَهُوَ أَلَدُّ الْخِصَامِ. Allah says, there is a type of man whose speech about the life of this world may dazzle you. There is a type of man whose speech about the life of this world may dazzle you. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُعْجِبُكَ قَوْلُهُ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. Allah says, وَيُشْهِدُ اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا فِي قَلْبِهِ. And he will call Allah to witness about what is in his heart. وَهُوَ أَلَدُّ الْخِصَامِ. And yet he is the most contentious of enemies. He is the most vicious of enemies. He would talk about, because Allah makes it clear in the Quran, if he gets power, or if he turns away from Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, then he says, Allah says, these are the ones who spread corruption in the land, kills its inhabitants and destroys the crops. There are people who talk about peace, establishing justice and security in the land, giving the good things of this life. And yet is the deadliest opponent of truth. Because if he gets power, he spreads corruption in the land, kills its inhabitants and destroys the crops. And he would go to any means, any length to get his objectives achieved. Allah Ta'ala talks about the believers. Believers are those who reconcile the quarreling brothers. They should make peace between the quarreling brothers. Many of us, we take that issue, if I do that, we are more concerned about our friendship, that our friendship might be in stake if we try to meddle in the affair or try to intervene. Our friendship might be affected. We are more concerned, and then we conveniently say, oh, it is their personal matter. We avoid it. Allah Ta'ala says the believers are those who make peace between quarreling brothers, that is Muslim brothers. Allah commands us not to sit in gatherings where Allah Ta'ala's verses are taken as joke. Allah commands us not to sit with them until they turn to a different theme. Believers, Allah says, they love one another. They will love one another. There is a hadith of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. None of you is a believer until he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. What he loves for himself. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, you will not enter Jannah until you believe, and you will not believe until you love one another. Until you love one another. There is a hadith of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam that talks about a group of people. It says, roughly the message is, whose position on the Day of Judgment will be so enlightened, they will be so enlightened, they will be so full of light and elevated, that even the prophets and the shuhadas, the shaheeds, will be envying that position, desiring that position. So people ask, O Rasulullah, who are these people that even the prophets and the shuhadas will be desiring that position, envying that position? Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, these are the ones who loved each other for the sake of Allah, and who gave gifts to each other only for the sake of Allah, without having any common bonds. And you also remember the hadith of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that on the Day of Judgment there will be 7 categories of people who will be in the shade of Allah's, under Allah's shade, direct shade, which will protect them from any harm or any difficulty. And one group will be those who love each other for Allah's sake, who meet together for Allah's sake and who depart for Allah's sake. In fact, there is another hadith Qudsi that says about Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said about Allah Ta'ala, that says Allah says, my love is due to those who love each other for my sake, who sit together for my sake, who visit each other for my sake, and who give gifts to each other for my sake. So if we claim to be believers, we better learn to love one another, to love each other, and not we should try to cover each other's faults. If we cover the faults of our fellow brothers, Allah will cover our faults. Allah makes it clear in the Quran, as well as there are clear hadiths, that those who cover the fault of fellow brothers, Allah will cover their faults on the Day of Resurrection. And if we expose people's faults, Allah will expose our faults on the Day of Judgment, according to a clear hadith of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We should not repel the beggars. We should not repel the petitioners. Allah says, وَأَمَّا السَّائِلَ فَلَا تَنْهَرْ, and repulse not the petitioner, the beggar. Many of us, we not only repulse the beggars, but often behave very badly with them. Believers, being a believer is a great test. It will be a great test. It's not easy just by saying that we believe. Because Allah will test us. Allah will test us. Allah says in many verses similar to that. For example, in one verse Allah says, let me quote the Arabic first. Allah says, أَمْ حَسِبْتُمْ أَن تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةَ وَلَمَّا يَأْتِكُمْ مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ خَلَوْا مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ مَسَّتْهُمُ الْبَأْسَاءُ وَالضَّرَّاءُ وَزُلْزِلُوا حَتَّى يَقُولَ الرَّسُولُ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَعَهُ مَتَى نَصْرُ اللَّهِ أَلَا إِنَّ نَصْرَ اللَّهِ قَرِيبٌ. Allah says, do you think you will enter Jannah, paradise, without such trials has came to those who passed away before you? Allah says, do you think you